Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wanted to understand the truth behind your negativity and what in the world to do about it, then do we have the Ego's Code show for you. Today I'll be talking with Clayton John Ainger, speaker, consultant, and the award-winning author of an amazing book, The Ego's Code. And that's just what I want to talk with him about today, about learning how to work with your negativity, decipher your code, and stop sabotaging your success. That plus we'll talk about what we can all learn from Paul Cobley, the power of the blue whale, Mr. Adventure, foxes and wolves, the importance of a Mont Blanc pen, and what in the world Insanity and Insanity Max 30 have to do with anything. Gotcha. So welcome to the show, Clayton. Are you ready to shine?
I am ready to shine. Thank you for having me. Woohoo!
Well, thank you so much for being here. So I don't have your full backstory, but I'm very curious. If we went back, way back in time, did you struggle with negativity as a kid?
Oh my God, I really, really did. If I go back to my teens, everything, I used to take myself far too seriously. I would work really hard just to please everybody else rather than taking care of myself. In my early 20s, I experienced deep depression. Then going into my mid-20s, I experienced depression again. And you name it, I have sabotaged nearly every single area of my life, from my relationships, those people that are most important to me. I've collapsed those relationships because of fear of being loved and intimacy. I have sabotaged my business. I would build it up, make it really successful, and then I would pull it down just because of a fear of success. And then my biggest one is all around. I get so fit and so healthy. It's interesting to talk about insanity. And then what I would do is that I would get really super healthy, and then I would stuff my face with chocolate just to soothe an unknown pain. So, yeah, I have been there, done that. My heaviest weight was 252 pounds. So it's been a journey. It really has.
And now you're 180, 190, somewhere in there?
Yeah, I'm about 180. I'm about just to sign up with a personal trainer as well, so that I can finally get that ripped body that that I've been working towards as I align even more to my divine true self.
Very, very cool. And my wife, Jessica, she's the producer of the show. We moved to Emerald Isle off the coast of North Carolina just a couple months ago, and we just joined a new gym today.
I love the synchronicity.
Perfect synchronicity. So let's go from there. And before we get to maybe Stonehenge and some revelations that took place there, when did you discover that you had some spiritual gifts, and for how long were you kind of keeping them tamped down or hidden?
Yeah, interestingly, it runs down the male side of the family, or it did until my daughter was born. And at the age of 7, I would always be visited by spirits. I had a little boy that would sit outside my bedroom, and I've always been able to see them. But at the age of 7/8, I became overwhelmed with spirit, and I chose to shut my gift down, consciously or unconsciously. It just all closed down. And then when I met my beautiful second wife, Lindsay, in my mid to late 20s, what happened with that was she really encouraged me. She helped me to blossom. She helped me to really open it up. And it's just been an amazing, amazing journey. I read for people all over the world, probably about 50 different countries. I run spiritual events, in different places around the world. So it's been a journey of acceptance, and it's also been a journey of gratitude and appreciation, because everybody has that gift. And it's not one of these things, use it or lose it. We've all got it. We're all always in creation. So it's how we use it for the greater good. So yes, it's always been there.
Awesome. So I've got to ask, either how did you meet Lindsay, or how did you not shoot yourself in the foot once she came into your life?
Okay, so give me a couple of minutes and I'll tell you the story. So she is one of my greatest creations. So I had been split up from my ex-wife for about 18 months. Mm-hmm. And I was driving down the highway, the motorway in the UK, and I was having a rant, and I mean a rant at the universe. And I was saying, I demand my twin flame soulmate. And the date was the 17th of December, 2005. And that's an important date, which I'll come back to.
And I love the number 17, just for the record.
Perfect. And so I'm having this rant at the universe, and I demand, I deserve, my twin flame soulmate. And then my phone rang. And my phone rang on the cell phone that I have now. But the person who rang was a chap called Joe Williams. And I had seen Joe 5 years previously, and he had rung me on an old phone number that no longer existed. So the divine had connected us through the ethos and connected one old number to my new number, and there was no divert. The old number had been completely disconnected. And he was inviting me to Colorado, and I was going to attend his speakers boot camp. And I had no money, I had no home, I had no job, and I just said, yes, I'll be there. Mm-hmm. And within 6 to 8 weeks, I had a job, I had a home, I had money in the bank to be able to get on a plane. It cost $5,000 just for the event. So I went over there, and the very first person on stage was Lindsay. And I said, I'm going to marry her. And she had no idea, by the way. And but the 17th of December is Lindsay's birthday. So I'm driving down the highway, ranting and raving and creating my twin flame soulmate on her birthday. And we got together as a couple of months later.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
When did you start to figure out how not to sabotage yourself? And were you doing things at that time to ensure that that you stayed, what would be the best term for it?
In my flow?
Yes, exactly.
No, I was sabotaging then. I was sabotaging big time then. Because the 18 months before that, I chose to leave a relationship which wasn't fulfilling. Mm-hmm. I used to be an accountant and tax consultant, so I left Deloitte. I piled on all the weight. I had loads of debt and all of these things. Again, I wasn't accepting my spiritual gifts. And so elements of it I was sabotaging and pulling down, which I didn't realize at the time. But it was when I first started dating Lindsay, probably about a year, maybe 6, 9, 12 months into our relationship. She was in America on business, and I woke up one morning and they said, you've got to go to Stonehenge. And when I say they, my guide poked me, thrown it down the rain, and I went to Stonehenge. And that's really where the journey of understanding the truth behind your negativity began, and where I really started to understand the psychological, the spiritual, and the neurological patterns that we have which cause us to sabotage success.
So was it that you were getting downloads there, or you just starting to understand what was taking place while you're there?
Oh, I had a big download. So I literally, woke up, it was throwing down the rain, and I went to Stonehenge. And it's interesting, the image that you have behind you, which is so beautiful. Because at the time, now if you go to Stonehenge, they have this boundary that's all around it. And you can't actually get to the stones unless you do this VIP tour. But back then, you were able to go to the stones. So I literally sat in the stones. I had an umbrella over my head, and I went into meditation. And literally, I had the words that come up, the ego teacher. And then that expanded into the ego is a teacher. And there is a pattern to negativity. Take time to explore negativity. And it was very short, it was very succinct, but it was literally this opening. And I just talking to you, I got these goose pimples running down my back. It was just this opening of this beautiful flower. And literally, I would probably say almost on a daily basis for the next 6-9 months, I was making notes, journaling. I was testing things out with clients. I was running different types of events back then, all around trying to understand what this was all about. And but people have in the past, people have had a very negative view of the ego, mm-hmm. and a negative view of negativity. And there's a misconception that's come through through the work that actually the ego is a bad thing, that negativity is a bad thing. Actually, it's not. It's there to serve us. And so I immersed myself in my patterns, and I immersed myself in the reasons why I became depressed. I immersed myself in all the different types of negativity that I was having around love and around wealth and around health, understanding and picking holes in the patterns. And I realized that where we experience any form of hardship, challenge, pain, anxiety, any form of negativity, there is a pattern associated to that. And I call that pattern the ego's code. And when you pull the thread of the ego's code, you really start to understand your own patterns, that's when the magic happens. So, as we go on, I'll tell you more about the ego's code.
Beautiful. So then from there, and I've done the math, I was actually in Boulder on that, probably that very day that you were there. So it's kind of cool. So you say something early in your book, and it's a beautiful book. You say, the you that is within you is always there and always shining bright. What do you mean by that?
Well, we are a collection of stories. Let me put it this way. And people may have heard this kind of thing before. So we experience 60,000 thoughts a day. The majority of them are repetitive, and about 80 to 90% of them are negative. However, many people have said to me, well, we should be able to think more positively, and yet positivity doesn't work, or positive thinking alone doesn't work. And yet, people say, well, you should choose your thoughts wisely. And yet, even though we know better, we don't always do better. And so the person of who we are, so we have these 60,000 thoughts. And quantum physics has now proven that we experience 7.8 times per second wholeness. So our divine light within us, we are pure energy, represents, and this is proven by quantum physics, represents 99.99999999999% of who we are. So that is the divine light, the energy that's within us. Now, the other 0.0 all the way through to 1, 14 zeros to 1, represents the divine ego self. And I can explain more about that. So if you think that we are pure energy, then that is always in us, that is always around us, that is always flowing through us. And some people, and I use also the term the higher self. And the higher self is the truest essence of who we are. We are omnipresent, we are everywhere. And if you think about, you look outside, so at the moment I'm on holiday in Marbella. It's a little bit cloudy outside. It's been beautiful sunshine all week, but it's a little bit cloudy outside at the moment. But if I fly high enough into the sky and above the clouds, the sun is always shining. And so no matter what is going on around us, and all the challenges that we're having and the pain that we're experiencing or the hardships and all those kinds of things, there is this divine light that's within us, this divine energy that's within us, that's always shining bright. It's always that sunshine there, and it's always in our corner for our greatest good. It never switches off. It never dulls its light. It is always there. It's just the other stuff that's around us. And if we can, and that light is always there, glimmering, even in the shadows. So that's what I mean, this divine light that's shining within.
Thank you. And now if we go back to negativity, and it's interesting because this is where I think the law of attraction gets people into a lot of trouble, because it all of a sudden says, you can have this thought, that's good. You can't have this thought or emotion, that's bad. And all of a sudden people are in kind of a downward spiral, sunk by the fact that they exist. And that, I would argue, and it's exactly what you're saying, the ego is here to teach us, and instead, as you had one woman at one of your clinics say, she was gift wrapping her negativity and chaining it to boulders and throwing it to the bottom of the ocean.
And guess what? It came back up.
Brilliant.
The thing is, spiritually, if people who are listening, people I'm watching can get this, spiritually, negativity is not negative. But here's the thing. Every single time you experience negativity, every single time, you are literally being triggered back to the past and reliving the past in the here and the now. Because negativity are whispers or echoes from your past. And they are there, it is there for you to pay attention, for you to learn. And if I take this just on one level into more of a spiritual approach, so everybody understands the concept of the higher self. And I talk on my events about, the higher self. And I say, okay, so what happens to the higher self of the soul when we die? And people say, oh, it's reborn, it goes home. True. And then I say to people, what happens to the ego? The ego, and they say, well, it dies. I say, no, it doesn't. It actually reconnects with the higher self, because at the time of incarnation, when we are born, the higher self actually splits into two. The higher self is omnipresent everywhere, and it represents 99.9999 etc. % of who we are. And it splits into the ego self, and the ego self represents this very small proportion of who we are, less than 0.0001%, and yet we give it so much power. And here's the reason why. Because every single time, we're all on this soul's journey, and every one of us walking down the street has 2 or 3 lessons for us to learn. Now, mine has been around love and intimacy and worthiness and being able to accept, myself and wealth and all these different types of things. And every time we're on this journey, and every soul has got a lesson to learn. And where the negativity comes from and where these lessons come from are all associated with traumas that we've experienced in the past or in our past lives. So when you experience a trauma, whether it be somebody shouting at you, or whether you've been murdered in a previous lifetime, it creates a tear in the soul, and part of the soul leaves and goes to a place in the consciousness where it feels safe. But then what happens is that leaves this tear in the soul, and people often say to me, Clayton, I feel like something is missing, because something is missing. And what happens is the negativity associated with this trauma goes into the void and gets sealed off. And at the point of incarnation, this negativity gets programmed into the divine ego self. And the ego then acts like a beacon, going beep, 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 sending people, situations, circumstances to you so that you can learn. But the ego operates through the physical body. It operates through the mind. And so what happens is that you can't think your way to a solution, because the higher self, get this, holds all the answers. So it's not one or the other. It's both. And coming back to quantum physics has proven that we experience wholeness 7.8 times per second, which means that we're always in creation. So if we're always in creation, we are either creating the things that we want to create in our life, or we're using those 60,000 thoughts to create the things through negativity that we actually don't want in our life. But if I said to you that all of the negativity that you are experiencing is like a trapped energy, and if I said to you, if you imagine the energy it takes to put a rocket into space, and you are holding that same energy in your lower 3 energy centers, which is communicating through your negativity. And if you just learn, all you have to do is pay attention to it. And I'm going to talk about how you do that. You pay attention to the negativity, and the more you pay attention to it and you act in accordance with your highest good, you clear all this out. The peace of soul comes back, and you can be whole again. And at the same time, you transform this energy that's trapped in the lower energy centers into something that will serve you and be a fuel for success, as opposed to something that hinders you or keeps you stuck in the past, which is exactly how I created Lindsay. I'm traveling down the highway, and I'm literally in anger and frustration. I am moving this energy to create what it was I wanted to create. And she showed up just like that.
So if we use that example of Lindsay, you talk about you were saying one of your patterns is that you avoid receiving love. You've kind of pushed that love away, or do everything you can to do so. So when you started to understand about negativity and what's going on, how are you able to track that down and heal that one?
Okay. So what happens is that it is not possible. I'm working with, I have a therapist, and I recommend everybody gets a therapist, because we can't see our own unconscious, but we can be an observer. Now, even though we can't see our own unconscious, our unconscious communicates to us through our negativity. So when I get in the way of love, or I get in the way of receiving love, or I get in the way of receiving wealth, or whatever those things are, I have the same negative patterns that will show up. So, for example, and this happens 2 to 3 weeks in advance. So this is before anything bad could potentially happen, right? Because we're getting feedback from all around us. I have a pain in my lower left-hand side of my back. Mm-hmm. Every single time I have concerns come up around receiving contracts to do with our business, receiving money as things get bigger and bigger and bigger, or the right-hand side of my back, if it's anything to do with love or receiving love, and also a slight ache in my heart energy center as well. And so this is feedback that's coming from within me. So the other thing as well is that negativity communicates to you through your body. So I will often, so if I've got some anxiety coming up, mm-hmm. I will say, okay, where is that in my body? Yep. And I will connect with the anxiety, and I will give it a voice. It's so important we give it a voice because it's just trapped energy that's trying to get out. And so I notice the feedback that's going on around us. And one of the things I would recommend for people, so I'm very passionate about this, one of the things I would recommend for people is this. If you get a chance to go and work when they're questioning. So a friend of mine and a friend of Lindsay's, she's in a question, and she works with horses, and we had the most amazing gift from her. And she invited us to go and work with some horses who she'd never worked with before when we were in Switzerland. And we were both on an event. We were on an event of a friend of ours. And she was working with these horses, and all of a sudden these horses started to dance for her. And it was amazing. And then she invites me into the circle with her. And I think, hey, you know what? I'm feeling great. I'm feeling amazing. And the horses wouldn't come to me. Now, here's the thing what people often don't know about horses, is that they are pure divine creatures that don't have an ego, mm-hmm. and they really are sensitive to energy, especially negative energy. So I get in this ring, and they move away from me. They won't come to me, so I'm getting feedback. And Diane, our friend, says, just close your eyes and check in and say, okay, what's going on with this negativity around horses? And I'm thinking, okay, this is really bizarre because I love horses. Anyway, I realized that I was reliving the fear of our daughter Isabel, who 12 months previously had fallen off a horse, got trampled by a horse, and broken her leg.
Wow.
And so I was reliving this. And I thought, that's not mine. So I spent just 2 or 3 minutes just checking in with the energy and clearing the energy out. And then guess what? The horses came to me. And I got goosebumps just telling. So we're getting this feedback all the time. And so I say to people, there's like a 3-step process to really working with the negativity. Here you go. First one is awareness. You have to have awareness. We have been conditioned so much to ignore our negativity, to hide from it, to stuff it down, to sweep it under the carpet. But when you do that, it comes back with teeth, harder and harder. And so you have to have this awareness because remember I said a few moments ago that negativity, when we experience negativity, we are being triggered back to the past, mm-hmm. and we're reliving the past in the here and the now. So if you're in the past, you can't be present. You can't be in the now. If you're fearing the future, you're not in the here and the now, you're not in the present, you're reliving the past. So awareness creates presence, which brings you smack bang into the now. You have to lock yourself into the now, and how you lock yourself into the now is you acknowledge the negativity, that it's there to serve you, and you express gratitude for it. And when you express gratitude for it, you really do center and ground yourself. And then the third piece is then to act for your highest good. And if someone doesn't like what you say or what you do, that's their stuff, and you just let them have their journey. But what often happens is if this is a member of your audience, if they have a really high vibration and a member of their family isn't particularly happy or is experiencing extreme negativity or whatever's going on, what we tend to do is we tend to lower our vibration to please somebody else or to compromise ourselves. No. What you do is you invite them up. If they're ready to come up, they will come up to you. And if you're acting for your highest good, guess what? You're automatically acting for other people's highest good. And then what happens in the body is you actually, Hebbian theory says, is that nerve cells that wire together fire together.
Mm-hmm.
But the more, this is from neuroscience, but the more that we actually act for our highest good, Hebbian theory also says that nerve cells that no longer wire together, no longer fire together. So you actually start to rewire the neurology in the brain, you rewire the neurology in the body, you start to change the energy chemistry within the body, and then actually you then start to rewire new neural pathways in the brain, which are associated with the life that you want to create. And so the more awareness you have, the more presence you have, the more you acknowledge your negativity, the more you will actually change yourself on a cellular and neurological level as well as a spiritual level.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
On that note, you said you made about a dozen points in there. The one I'm fascinated by so many different pieces, particularly neuroplasticity, but I want to go back to a line that you said even before you jumped in there, which may be a key or critical piece for people as in part of awareness, which is that mine?
Yes.
Go ahead.
No. What's the question? Yeah.
It seems critical that we understand that not all of what we're hearing in our minds is even coming from us.
Yeah, and certainly from an energetic level. So I can teach people very, very quickly a breath sound.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a shamanic breath sound called Marthra, Marthra, and it's a 2-step process. And it's just a breath sound. So you sound like you're whispering, okay, but out loud. And what Marthra does is it starts to clear your other people's energy out, so you then start to know what's yours. And because in the UK, we have an amazing balloon festival. And it's just up the road from where we live. Funny enough, it's just up the road from Stonehenge. And I had to stop going there for a while because I would go into these crowds and all of a sudden I would experience anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, joy, wonder, amazement, all in split seconds because we're all sensitive beings and I was taking on other people's energy and other people's stuff. So what Marthra does, so you put your hands above your head, palms facing down, and you move your hands down. I'm going to stand up slightly as I do this. So you move your hands down over your head, down to your heart. That's movement 1.
Yeah.
So and then you move it down your body and off your feet. That's movement 2. So you're doing it's like a 2-step. And you do it 9 times, 3 times a day.
Yeah.
So when I'm reading for people, I would do it before I read, after I read. When I do my events, I'm doing it before and after, because I want to be able to connect with the energies of the people in the room. And because you want to know what's yours. You know, and another thing that you can also do, which I learned many, many years ago, is kinesiology does something called muscle testing.
Yeah.
And one of the things that people can do is you can test whether you are energetically connected to other people. So I was working with this lady, we're going back a few years, and she was having challenges with relationships and challenges with men specifically. And she just said, I keep on attracting the same type of man. And I said, okay, well, you know, I feel them all around me. I said, well, let's test it from a kinesiology perspective. And first of all, we tested, you know, who she was, and we got strong. And then we tested Mickey Mouse because her arm went down. And I said, right, okay. So let's go through each person that she had a relationship with in the past. And so she would say, my name is John Smith, and she would hold strong. And then she would say, my name is, you know, Clayton John Ainger or whatever, and she would hold strong. And 15 times this was happening. And then as we then used some shamanic breath work. We used some shamanic drums and rattles just to clear the energy, dissolve the energy and the attachments. And then we tested each one, and she was weak on all of them, and now she's in this amazing, beautiful relationship. You know, so It's about knowing what's us and what's not us.
So many different directions here as well. We had on a guest recently who was talking a little bit about shamanic drumming. If somebody has their own drums or rattles or something, and they come across, I know I've done this with tapping and some other techniques, some emotion code work, where I've gone over specifically past relationships and found, wow, we've got some emotional trauma, some heart wall blockages here. What can we do from a shamanic point of view to clear that?
Okay, so so what tends to happen is this: is so when somebody is connected to you, it's like an energetic thread that comes from their heart into your heart. Mm-hmm. Okay, now the longer the relationship is, it's either a very thin thread or it's like a great big thick tree. All right, and what people do in terms of dissolving those cords, and it's emphasis on dissolving, because people, when they say cut a cord, you're leaving part of the root of that behind, which can grow back. So you emphasize is focusing on dissolving. So what I would do is I would get somebody to ground in their feet. I'll get them really grounded in first. I'd maybe take them through what we're going to do a little bit later, just 5 to 10 minutes just to ground them in. And then I want them to feel their power. So they're stood outside, they're connected with Mother Earth, maybe connected to a tree. And then it's you go, shh, shh, shh. Like you've got a rattle. You don't necessarily need a rattle. Shh, shh, shh. But you're focusing on dissolving those cords. And you can dissolve, and you'll start to feel lighter and lighter and lighter. And then all of a sudden, shh, shh, shh. Or if you've got a rattle or a drum, that will accelerate it. Just rattle up and down, shaking the rattle up and down in front of the heart. Get someone to shake and rattle, behind. And it's interesting. I was working with a lady in California at my event last year, and we saw this energy leave her body. Mm-hmm. It went all the way around her head and connected back in. And I said to her, so do you want to let this relationship go? And she said, well, yes, I do. And I said, well, why are you hanging on to it? So then we started to deal with some of the psychological stuff that was going on. We did it very quickly, just asking her some questions about what a life would be like without this energy, and why she wants to let it go. And then we did it again, and it just went. And she stood in her power. She stopped sabotaging her business, because she would grow a business, then take on a partner, and the partner would pull the business down. And then she would start another business, grow it, feel that she couldn't do it by herself, and then she would take on another partner and pull it down. But it was all to do with the energies that were around, and we cleared the energies. And she's thriving, and I mean, she is really thriving. Business is very successful.
Awesome. So I'm going to jump into some of the how-to solutions. I guess the first piece that I want to go after is back to self-sabotage. We have so many people that are listening to the show. They take advice. Hopefully they're taking advice and doing something with it. And I'm going to give them more suggestions, or have you give more suggestions before the end. But if somebody is struggling with a repeating pattern of going, I don't understand why. I'm a good person. I keep trying, but no matter what I'm trying, I keep on getting the old result. My bank account blows up, or my business blows up, or the relationship blows up. Yep. What's going on here?
Okay, so let's talk about money, okay? Because this is often, So over the years, I've had a bit of a challenging relationship with money. So the very first thing is you need to understand what your relationship with money is. Now, positive thinking does not work. And here is the reason why, all right? If I am sending a thought out into what I call, from a shamanic perspective, the web of life. So if you imagine this web is all around us, okay? And what I send out into the web is what I attract back, okay? So if you imagine there's this invisible web that's all around us, okay? And what you send out into the web is what you attract back, okay? So if I have this thought around money, that I deserve more money, or I'm going to think positively, so my bank balance is going to go up by, say, $1,000 a month, $1,000 a month, $1,000 a month, $1,000 a month, then actually there is an underlying feeling of lack that's there. And so what I'm actually sending out into the web of life is lack. So I'm sending out lack, I'm feeling lack, and so there's a vibrational match. Mm-hmm. So you have to align the thoughts and the feelings, because what I send out in the web in terms of thought, I attract back in terms of my feelings. And so I need to get to a point where I'm really, really comfortable with what it is I'm asking for. So here's a true example. So when we first started growing our consultancy business, so we're going back 10 years, I remember asking for $250 a day and feeling sick. And I mean, feeling really sick about asking for just $250. And I was really looking at my relationship with money. And in my book, there is a 8 question which will help people around relationships with money, relationships around self-worth, all sorts of things. And so I spent some time and said, right, okay, so what is going on around $250? And I got myself to a point where I actually felt very comfortable asking for $250. And so I then put my fees out at $250. And somebody paid me it. And it was like, okay, I'm good about that. And then more people started to pay me $250. And then people started to get some real value from me. And then they would say, you should put your fees up. So I said, well, what do you think? And they said, well, you should put your fees at like $500. And I experienced the same thing. Oh, my God, I'm really comfortable with $250. Mm-hmm. Really comfortable. And then so I really checked in. I worked with the energy around it. I said, what's going on around receiving $500? I looked at the worth. I looked at the pattern around it. And I got comfortable with that. And so I put my fees up to $500. And then somebody paid me $500. And then somebody said, you should put your fees up to $750. And I thought, okay, well, okay, I'm pretty comfortable about that. Yeah, so I put it up to $750. Somebody paid me $750. And then somebody said, oh, you should put your fees up to $1,000 a day. I thought, what? No, I can't. No. And I noticed the pattern. So every time incrementals were going up. So what's happening is I'm clearing the energy out here, right, from the trauma. Mm-hmm. And then I eventually got comfortable with that. And then every time there was an increment, I now charge myself out of $5,000 a day, okay? But the contracts that we're working with, and then I noticed, fast forward with our contract, we were doing small contracts. And I wanted to, about $10,000 contracts. I said, okay, well, I want bigger contracts with more people. And I thought, okay, well, how do I feel about asking for a $50,000 contract? And I noticed there was these tiny little flecks in here, that there was still something there. So I did a little bit of work around that, wanting to get comfortable with that. And then we won a $50,000 contract out of nowhere. And okay, if I can do it for $50,000, I can do it for $100,000. And then I did it for $100,000. And then I thought, if I can do it for $100,000, how do I feel about a $250,000 contract? And I noticed this, thing. And I thought, okay, so this is old stuff. Mm-hmm. I've cleared all this. So perhaps I need to bring the soul back in. So, and I got goosebumps, which is when I developed the Ego's Code meditation. Because I thought, I haven't brought the soul back in, so I haven't experienced the wholeness around it. And so I did the Ego's Code meditation. I brought the soul back in, and the core of it, and a $250,000 contract came in.
Woo!
Woohoo! So, but it's progressive. It was progressive. I needed to have my awareness about what was going on within me. Mm-hmm. I had to own it. I can't expect somebody else to do it. I have to do it. And it's progressive. And the more I do it, the more I release it. And you can do it quickly. You can do it quickly, or you can do it over time. I noticed that was happening for me over time. But the more awareness I have around different patterns, the faster I can do it. Now I can do it pretty much in a split second.
And that comes down to that neuroplasticity of being able to, you've increased your awareness, and you've increased, as soon as you get the awareness, you boomerang back and say, what can I do about this now?
Exactly. And here's the thing for the audience, right, is that you will get immediate feedback. And I'll give you a very specific example. So I had this pain. I noticed I had some old stuff that was coming up. I thought, is this mine? Okay, it must be mine. It's around some money. And I had this pain in my left side of my back. So I need to pay attention to it. And so outside of my own meditations, I love the work of Tom Kenyon. So I did a 30-minute meditation with Tom Kenyon and some of the sounds that were coming in around releasing any final pieces around wealth and worthiness. And literally, as soon as I finished the meditation, my phone rang. And there was a client offering me a $25,000 contract. It was immediate. It was not 2 hours from now, 3 hours from now. It will be immediate. So whilst I'm saying awareness inside, also have the awareness around what's going on outside of you. Because sometimes when I get a little bit caught up in what I call the ego's playground, so sometimes I get caught up in my ego's playground. So what that is I get a little bit consumed by negativity, or I get a little bit consumed in life, and I miss some of my guide's communications. So my guides go and speak to my wife, and they say, "Will you give him a poke?" And so that's feedback from outside of me. When she comes to me, she's not nagging at me, as some guys may think. The ladies are nagging at them. No, she's coming at me saying, "Okay, come in to share with me. I've got this message that's coming through. Does it make sense to you?" Complete makes sense to me. Thank you for telling me. So again, it's a different way.
Awesome. I'm going to ask just a few more questions, then we'll jump into a brief wrap up. But going along the lines of Insanity and Insanity Max 30, the strapline, decide, commit, succeed.
Oh, I love that. I love their strapline, decide, commit, succeed. When I first started doing Insanity, I was about 15, 16 stone. So that's about nearly 200 pounds. And the thing about Insanity is you have to make a decision that you're going to commit to it. You either commit to it for 30 days, you commit to it for 60 days, or you commit to 9 days. So I'm doing P90X at the moment, which is 90 days. And it's all progressive. It's just 30 minutes a day. And if I can't give myself the gift of 30 minutes, there's something going on, right? So, but you have to decide. And it's the same with negativity. You have to decide on the story that you want to create for yourself. Okay? Decide to connect with the divine higher self. Decide to have awareness around your negativity and allow yourself to clear this out. And then you commit to it. So you can commit. If you committed, and it's not a big deal. It's not a long process. Just commit yourself for, say, 7 days, then 14 days, then 21 days, then 30 days. Just wake up in the morning. When somebody works with me from a coaching client perspective, they send to me every single day 3 things. Mm-hmm. In the morning, they send me how they're feeling when they wake up in the morning. The thoughts, the feelings, emotions that are going on. Lunchtime, they send me the same thing, and then at the end of the day. And at the same time as they're sending me that, they're then saying, okay, these are the goals that I want to achieve today. These are my objectives, my outcomes. I want to create my day. And they send me a summary the following day, and they do that for 7 days. And they do it for 14 days, and they do it for 21 days. Because the whole point of that is raising awareness. So decide to do it, commit to do it. And then you will succeed. That's the byproduct. The success is the byproduct of it. And we can create anything in life. There is enough opportunities and potentials in the divine universe for us to create anything in our life. We just need to pay attention to the blockages that get in the way.
Woohoo!
Can I share one quick other story?
Go for it.
There's a very, very good friend of mine called Matt. And Matt runs I want to call it like a mobile homes business, mm-hmm. where you hire a mobile home and you travel all around the UK, okay, and now Europe and that kind of thing. And his business was a bit stuck. And we were literally having a few beers and we were chatting. And I just said to him, hey, Matt, you know why you're stuck, right? He said, why is that? He said, you're in your own way. And he said, what do you mean? I'm in your own way. And I said, look, what's happening is your head is getting in the way of your heart. You're trying to think your way to solutions. Then it feels good and your heart is getting in the way of the head. It's not one or the other. Step out of the way and work with the two. Allow the head and the heart to work in tandem. And when the head and the heart works in tandem, watch the magic happen. And he noticed his patterns and behaviors about, well, mine, for example, I wanted to write my own book. Procrastination is a classic example of getting in your own way. When you are procrastinating and you're meant to be doing something for you, you're in your own way. So stop it, And when he stopped it, literally the following day, somebody called him and said, we would love to partner with you, and created a £500,000 contract the following day, as soon as he owned it.
Is there in addition to checking in with ourselves on a daily basis and coming up with what I call an SMP, your single most important thing that you want to get done in the day, your single-minded purpose. On top of that, is there a practice we want to do on a daily basis to be able to step back and to hear what's going on?
Yes, meditation. if people can do just the way to accelerate it is you can get a guided meditation or just sit in silence with your favorite piece of music and notice what comes up for you. And what I will do is automatic writing. So I will, if I'm experiencing fear, it sounds strange. Okay, what's going on with that? I say, okay, I need to give it a voice. Mm-hmm. So if I want to create something in my day and it's not happening, I will pause halfway through my day and say, right, something's in the way here. I would just spend 15, 20 minutes. I'd get out my journal and say, right, fear. And I would just go in. I would just allow my pen to move in that process. And then I'll read whatever it is that comes up. And sometimes it can't make any sense of it. But other times I go, oh, my God, that's the reason why.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, and I didn't actually pay you to mention that, but we're actually we have a book right now in the editor on automatic writing that we've written. I say we've written because at some point the guides took over the darn thing.
and the thing is, I'm loving this. The thing is once we start to acknowledge that we are procrastinating or acknowledge that we're getting in the wrong way, that's when the magic happens. Or the universe will take over. So when I wrote my book, the first draft I wrote of it was rubbish, right? But I sat on it, right, for about 9 months. And then my publisher called me and said, if you want this book published in 2015, then what needs to happen is that you need to get it to me in the next 4 weeks. Otherwise, it won't be published until late 2016. And so this is like the universe pushing me. And I wrote it in 4 weekends. I just sat and channeled it and wrote it in 4 weekends, pretty much by automatic writing.
Which is a great team partnership, and I also consider that fire under. Something special happens at those times.
Yes, I agree. I absolutely agree.
So from there, if I put on my coach's hat and I want everybody to leave today with a homework assignment, something they can actually begin doing today rather than just listen to this, what one homework assignment would you give people today?
Okay, so the homework assignment is two pieces. The first one is whenever you keep it on everyone's got a mobile phone or a journal. So whenever you experience negativity during the day, raise your awareness to it. So write down in the journal, on the diary, say, okay, whatever the time was, I experienced anger and what it was you were doing. That's it. And then the next time you experience something like that, write it down. Then start to identify and notice the pattern that will show up. Because we may not have time in that moment to deal with that. So that's the first thing. And then every day when people wake up, just notice how you're feeling when you wake up. And don't get up out of bed to start to feel great. Or start to feel a little better, and create your day. Start to think about how you want your day to be.
If somebody's laying there and they're saying, Clayton said I cannot get up until I feel better, I'm not feeling better yet. I'm not feeling better yet. What do they do at that point?
What they do at that point is they get their journal out and they do the automatic writing to release the energy. Because the lymphatic system in the body releases the energy out of the body just through writing. And so then you start to say, and sometimes it's very difficult to move from anger to joy. And I talk about it in my book. Imagine that you're on a train to the city of joy. And so, okay, so I'm experiencing anger right now. So what's the next easiest emotion for me to get to? Maybe it's anxiety. So I visit the station of anxiety, and then I'll go to a little bit of frustration. Then from a frustration, I'm starting to feel a little bit more clarity. Then from clarity to confidence to maybe a little bit of excitement, and excitement to happiness, and happiness to joy, whatever that journey is for them. So what's the next best station they can get to?
I love it.
And then get up.
From there, Jessica, my wife, she's a producer. She always wants me to ask a question for parents and their kids. What advice would you give parents today to help their kids with negativity and on this journey?
Okay, so my daughter experiences worry quite a lot. And so we often say this, so after the fact, what did the worry get you? And she said, nothing. And so we will always talk to her after the fact. The other thing is what we do is we talk to her as an equal, soul to soul. And I was talking with her the other day, and she said, some of my friends keep saying to me that I have such a great relationship with you, and they don't. So they said that often their friends talk about their parents being like employers-employee relationship. And I said, well, I've always taught you soul to soul. That's always been my intention. I said, who am I? You're a very wise soul. It doesn't mean I won't parent you. So when she experiences negativity, we always talk about it afterwards. But also we give her some resources in the moment, because she will come to us and she'll talk to us about it. I would also say to her, you need to express your feelings. So this is for me the number one. Express what's going on. So many kids these days hold stuff down because they want to copy their parents. So for parents out there, encourage your kids to express what's going on for them.
Which means, and it's something that you talk about in the book, it's actually a Claytonism. The second you judge yourself, you lose all ability and influence, and all ability to influence and impact your life. You want to help the kids to not judge themselves, and you don't want to judge them either for bringing out that emotion.
Completely. The second you judge someone else, you lose all ability to influence them. And then the Claytonism piece is the second you judge yourself, you lose all ability to live the life that you want to live. So allow it to come up. And through kids, it can be, if they don't want to share through words, get them to draw it.
Now I've got goosebumps. So I got just a couple wrap-up questions and a brief meditation, but you were mentioning your back, and you talk about it in the book, which is fascinating. It's an interesting synchronicity with something going on in my life, which is as we're working on our book, as we've got all these amazing projects, a mysterious, it's doing better now, it's not 100%, my left foot started hurting out of the blue last week. And then I was reading today about your left side of your back, which was a fear of stepping forward. And I was wondering, could my left foot be the same thing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So often if I used to have an ache in my left shin, so my left calf going down to my foot. And it used to be one of two things. It used to be fear of moving forward, or it used to be a need for clarity before I act. And so I connected with it. In each situation, I would just go into quiet meditation. I would connect with my foot, or I'd connect with my calf, or connect with whatever's going on. I'd say, okay, what is it that you need to tell me? And it communicates to you. People say it freaks them out. It's like when I work with big corporate and I take some leaders out into nature, and they said, we're not tree hugging. And I said, you're not going to go tree hugging. You're going to sit with us with a tree and journal. And then, they have a 45-minute exercise, and then I can't find some of them because they're actually inside the tree or up the tree, and they're saying, I don't want to move because the tree was talking to me. Of course the tree spirit was talking to you, as your foot does. Your foot's going to talk to you, your knee's going to talk to you, your back's going to talk to you, your hand's going to talk to you. Depends on where the pain is, depends on where the negativity is.
Which means we also need to put the space, the pause in between the notes to take the time for ourselves to do this, more important than anything.
Correct. And, and I move 1,000,000 miles an hour, and my beautiful wife, Lindsay, she is the one that makes sure that I get time in the diary for me, time in the diary for us, time in the diary with our daughter, Isabel. And if it wasn't for her, I'd probably be experiencing the ego's playground all the time. So, and if we can't do it for ourselves, find somebody who can help you.
Lindsay's got it going on, and my wife would appreciate her. I've got another appointment right after this. We're fine time-wise, but after that, she booked a massage for me.
Oh.
Woo! So,
that's
on
awesome.
that note, what personally brings you the greatest happiness, or what I call the woohoo factor?
Oh, man. Okay. Personal happiness, spending quality time with my bride, Lindsay, and quality time with my munchkin, my daughter, Isabel. I'm a big rugby fan, and if I can combine Isabel and the rugby, that works. Or just daddy time or honey time, and when we get it, that's when the magic happens.
And I love how you make that a conscious awareness so that it does. I can see you're not going to let that slip by. You're going to make sure that's in your day. Oh,
yes, absolutely. Completely. So when people try to schedule my diary, Mondays and Tuesdays I'm with Isabel. Monday nights we go and do taekwondo together for 2 hours. So people can't have that time. I have regular date night with Lindsay, so we make sure that we have that time.
Awesome.
And also I schedule in me time for me as well.
So important. And I think, at least in the Western world, so few of us are scheduling in me time. On that note, get me time. We want to read this book. Where can people go to find out more and to find the Ego's Code?
Okay, so they can go to my website, which is Clayton John, John, Ainger, AINGER.com. You can, if you want a paperback book, you can get it on Amazon.com. You can get it on also, it's available this month in an audio book on 33 different locations around the web. iTunes, Amazon, Audible. If people want an ebook, it's also available on Amazon.com as well. The Ego's Code meditation, which I would recommend, goes with the book, which will accelerate healing. You can also get on iTunes and also on Amazon.com, and it was voted, I was just blown away, the most popular new release on Amazon and on iTunes. So I was very, very thrilled when that happened.
Huge congratulations. That's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
So on that note, I'm going to dive into a meditation here in a second. Before that, any last words of wisdom you want to share with people today?
I do. Please, when you look at yourself in the mirror, first of all, realize that you matter. Then be kind to yourself. If things aren't going well for you in that moment, just be kind to yourself and realize that the personality that you are today does not necessarily equal the personality that you will be tomorrow, and that you're on a journey. So be kind to yourself rather than taking a big stick and beat yourself with it. Be kind to yourself and allow your magic to unfold.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that is a mighty woohoo!
Woohoo!
So do you have a short meditation you wouldn't mind sharing with us today?
Absolutely. Well, at the beginning of the Ego's Code meditation, there is a short 5-6 minutes where I ground people in so they connect with Mother Earth. So if you just want to close your eyes, relax, and focus on your breathing. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And now, if you take your attention to your feet, you see this beautiful pool of green energy from Mother Earth. And as you breathe in now, this energy flows between your toes. It flows up over the tops of your feet. Breathing in, Mother Earth's energy flows up your shins and your calves. It flows up over your knees, your thighs, and the backs of your legs. Breathing in, her energy flows up through your groin, up through your navel. Breathing in, up your lower back and your solar plexus. And now taking a deep breath in, breathe Mother Earth into your heart. That's it. Breathe her green energy into your heart. Fill your heart with Mother Earth's green energy. And as you do, your legs become like tree trunks, grounding you in to Mother Earth, connecting you to Mother Earth. And your toes become like the roots of a tree, going down, 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 deep into the earth, hooking you in to Mother Earth. And now feel what it feels like to be one with Mother Earth. And just for a moment, put your hand on your heart and be one with Mother Earth. Feel what it feels like to be with Mother Earth. That's right. Breathe in Mother Earth. Feel Mother Earth. And allow yourself to be one with Mother Earth. Breathe. Feel. Allow. Breathe. Feel. Allow. And now, as I slowly count you up from 1 to 10, knowing that you are completely grounded and connected with Mother Earth, you'll slowly come back into the room. 1, up to 2, up to 3, up to 5, up to 6, up to 8, feeling your fingers and your toes, up to 9, stretching out your arms and your legs, up to 10, and taking the greatest care of you. And when you're ready, open your eyes and come back into the room. That's it.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
This has been so much fun, Clayton. And well, we got into some of my favorite topics: hugging trees, certainly, animals. Well, I may have to have you back, talk more about the animals, connecting with
Oh,
the
I would
earth.
love to
Oh
do
my
that, please.
God. This has been such a treasure and a treat, Clayton. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you from my heart for inviting me on your show. It's been an absolute thrill. And if people want to reach out to me, they can email me from my website. I am so grateful to you. Thank you for having me.
So you are most welcome. It goes both ways. Got to crank it up for the finish here. For everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, get the Ego's Code, and start learning from your negativity and shine bright. Woohoo! Woo! Yes! Thank you so much, Clayton.
Thank you for having me. I really am very grateful.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like below. Also, leave your comments. Have some real fun with it. Subscribe to our channel where you're going to get more great videos, more interviews coming up. And check out our website, inspirenationshow.com. That's where you'll find tips, blogs, information, videos you won't find anywhere else, and useful and helpful resources to really help you kickstart your life and to shine bright. Thanks so much again. Thank you for your support. Like, like, comment, subscribe. See the website. Thanks so much and have fun. Of course, shine bright. Woohoo!